Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to dive straight into the incredibly fascinating and, let's be real, often completely frustrating inner workings of athletic performance. And to do that, I want to set the scene right away. Picture this. You're standing at the service line of a seriously high-stakes volleyball match. You can physically feel the heat of the gym, the crowd is absolutely roaring, and that ball feels like it weighs 10 pounds in your hands. You just shanked your previous serve. And now you're walking back to the line to try again. The pressure is totally on.
Suddenly, your internal dialogue goes into overdrive. You're frantically telling yourself, okay, don't think about the last one, just don't miss again. Come on, clear your head. But literally the very second you tell yourself not to think about that miss, what happens? It becomes the absolute only thing you can focus on. Your mind is just scrambling, rushing, desperately trying to scrub that mistake out of your memory. And by doing that, it essentially superglues the mistake right to the front of your consciousness. And here's the thing. This mental trap, it instantly manifests physically. The breakdown doesn't just stay in your head. You can usually see it happening before the ref even blows the whistle. Your shoulders tighten right up. Your carefully practiced pre-serve routine suddenly hits fast forward because you're rushing just to get it over with. Your eyes start drifting off the court, looking down at your shoes, looking anywhere but where they actually need to be. In that moment, you are officially locked out of your flow state. Okay, let's dive into this. The thought suppression trap, and why don't think about it literally never works.
Let's do a really quick experiment together just to prove this. I'm going to tell you right now, whatever you do, do not think about a pink elephant. Seriously, clear your head entirely. No pink elephants allowed. And there it is. Almost instantly, your brain betrays you, right? The image is right there staring back at you in your mind's eye.
The crazy mechanism behind that betrayal is something called the ironic checking process. Our brains have a very, very weird relationship with suppression. To successfully avoid a thought, your mind actually has to keep checking in to see whether that thought is still hanging around. It goes, hey, am I thinking about choking? Let me check. Yep, sure am. Ironically, this constant background checking is the exact thing keeping the thought alive. So when a player thinks, don't choke, the brain just keeps circling right back to that threat. The harder you push it away, the more of your attention it quietly steals.
So why is this 100 times worse in a match than at Tuesday night practice? Well, pressure cranks the volume way up. Normally, random thoughts just drift in and out, but when the stakes suddenly rise, the brain gets hypersensitive to anything that feels like a threat. A missed serve isn't just a mechanical error anymore, it feels personal, it feels embarrassing. You aren't just noticing the thought of missing, you're reacting to the meaning of the thought. What if coach pulls me? What if I let the whole team down? Under pressure, these thoughts aren't random, they feel huge, and that is exactly what makes them so dangerously sticky.
Let's walk through how this builds into this massive downward spiral. Step 1, the thought drops in. Don't miss. Step 2, you frantically try to suppress it. Step 3, that ironic checking process kicks in, and your brain checks to see if the thought is gone. Step 4, boom, the thought returns, and it's even stronger now. And finally, step 5, frustration joins the party. Why am I still thinking about this? See, at this stage, your attention has collapsed entirely inward. Instead of reading the block or finding your rhythm, you're consumed with micromanaging your own mind. From the stands, it looks like overthinking, but for the player, it feels like being trapped.
And when you're trapped like that, the body inevitably follows the mind. Once your attention collapses inward, the physical toll is immediate. Breathing gets super shallow, your movements completely lose that smooth, natural rhythm. Suddenly, instead of ripping a free, aggressive swing, you're carefully guiding the serve over the net. You start hesitating instead of just reacting to the play. This is why mental suppression is so incredibly costly on the court. You're basically no longer participating in the game. You're fighting a private, exhausting mental battle while the entire rally just leaves you behind.
So let's look at the other side of the coin, the elite athlete mindset, rewriting the timeline.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core difference in how players actually process pressure. See, the amateur assumption is that mental toughness means controlling your thoughts perfectly. Like, to be great, you have to achieve this perfect Zen-like mental silence. But the elite reality, mental toughness actually equals psychological flexibility and acceptance. Zero athletes have a perfectly empty mind during game point. Silence is definitely not the goal.
Which brings us to a huge concept, psychological flexibility. Instead of going to war with their thoughts, elite performers learn how to let those thoughts pass through without obeying them. This means a pro hitter might clearly notice their own anxiety, their heart pounding, and still step up and take a massive, aggressive swing at the ball anyway. That don't miss thought is still hanging out in their head, but it's not driving the bus anymore. It's not suppression, you guys, it's flexibility.
The absolute secret weapon here is acceptance. The mind settles down so much faster when it just stops fighting itself. And look, acceptance doesn't mean you like the negative thought. It just means recognizing it for what it actually is. An elite player might literally just think, right, there's my brain trying to protect me again. That one tiny, simple shift changes the whole game. It completely stops the inner wrestling match.
Because the second you drop the rope and stop wrestling with the thought, your attention is finally free to return to the present moment. The negative thought might still be whispering in the background, but it doesn't own the spotlight anymore. Your focus snaps right back to the serve.
It shifts right back to the pass. You're actively reading the court again. You're tracking the defense.
You're back to the next ball, over and over again. The real superpower in this sport isn't magically turning off your brain. It's the fluid, rapid resetting of your focus. Because the exact moment you stop fighting your own mind is the exact moment you free up your attention. And that's when your peak performance comes rushing back online. Which really leaves us with this final question to chew on. The next time you find yourself stepping up to the service line in a massive, high-stakes moment, and that annoying inner voice starts yelling at you not to mess up, what are you going to do? Will you waste your precious energy fighting your own mind, or will you accept the noise, return your focus to the ball, and just let it play? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I truly hope it completely reframes how you tackle your next big pressure moment out on the court.